Hello, my name is Eleanor and I work in recruitment and admissions. This presentation is going to focus on managing your money as a student. The presentation will cover the following: the importance of budgeting, making your own student budget, making informed spending choices. I will share some top tips from our students and ways to make savings, and I will end with signposting to some useful resources. There are two main costs when going to university. The first is your tuition fees for your course, and the second is your living costs, which may include accommodation, food, travel and course materials. This presentation will focus on managing your money as a student, particularly your living expenses. We have a separate student finance presentation which goes into detail about financial support available, so I would also recommend watching that. This acronym might help you to remember a few key things about budgeting. ACE it. Avoid overspending, make informed spending choices, enjoy your spending, identify danger times, and plan the timing of your spending. In order to start a budget, you first of all need to look at your income and add this up. You will need to make a note of key dates of when you will receive this income. For example, when will you get paid your maintenance loan, or receive your bursary or scholarship if you are eligible for one. Also make a note of any additional income such as part-time work, savings or any support from your parents or guardians. Your income from part-time job or savings may not be paid on a set date, so you might need to make note of when you will receive this. You then need to calculate your expenses. Here are some examples of your most common, larger expenses, but these do depend on your circumstances. Some of your expenses might be regular payments. For example, you might know you need to pay your accommodation fees termly or monthly depending on your payment plan, or you might not have this expense if you do not move away from home. Your bills might be a direct debit payment each month. This might include your mobile phone bill or a TV licence. You might decide to do a weekly shop for your groceries, so this might be something you can calculate easily, but you might need to look at this expense on a more ad hoc basis. This slide shows common expenses a student might face. The average figures are taken from NatWest Student Living Index, which is reported by students across the UK. We will look at it in a bit more detail on the next slide. Here we are showing you how you might calculate your monthly budget by inputting your income and your expenses, and you can then work out the money which you have left over, which you might spend on non-essential things or put away for an emergency fund, which I will touch on later in the presentation. This is an example budget, and you might want to add on other income and expenses depending on your circumstances. You might set up something like this on Microsoft Excel so the calculations can easily be done, and you can keep up to date with your income and expenses. Here is a list of things you will or might need to spend your money on as a student. Take a moment to pause the video and have a think about which items you would consider needs and which you would consider wants. Underlined here are things we will class as needs, and we are calling them answers, but they are open to some interpretation. Some of you may feel like some of the things not underlined are needs, such as gym membership or leisure or sport, if you're wanting to keep active whilst at university. We have also said emergency fund is important, and I will come on to that. Some people may not have thought you need a mobile phone, however, it is something a lot of people have, and there is an expense that comes with that. Things like TV licence, insurance and bills might depend on your circumstances and where you are living. I have mentioned emergency fund a couple of times. It is important that you don't always spend every penny of your maintenance loan and other income, and if possible, try and put some money to one side in case there are any costs you haven't accounted for. We have provided some examples on the slide. The second one down is quite a common one, as you might need to secure a shared house by paying a deposit. Here are some top tips from some of our current students. George says, to manage my money, I worked out how much I had and then used an app to track my spending. That helped me organise what I needed to buy and showed me where my money went quickly and easily without it getting too complicated. And Kyla says, it is essential to set yourself limits, to establish a certain amount of money to spend that you cannot exceed each month. That way you can also save money that you can use in case of an emergency or if you really want to buy something specific. You should also try to plan your week in terms of activities and grocery shopping so that you can have a rough estimation of how much you will spend. We have noted some other top tips for ways to make savings. Use the resources available and plan ahead. Find out what you can get for free, for example council tax exemption. Shop smart. Save on travel. Open a student bank account. Plan your meals to save on food shopping. Borrow books from the library or buy second-hand books. Minimise spending but maximise saving, and always have an emergency fund. Here are some useful links where you can start researching your student finance and start thinking about managing your money. Our open days are a chance to hear about the course that's right for you and chat to staff about your studies. You will also have the opportunity to ask current students questions about their experiences, recommendations and thoughts about life as a student here. Staff will also be on hand to answer any questions you might have around funding your studies. You can book your place by visiting mmu.ac.uk/open day. Thank you for listening.